The start of the year is always an exciting time for professional wrestling, because if you are a promotion and you've got some big ideas for 2023, you'll get to January 1st and be like, well, we know what we want to do, let's pull the trigger. And we already know that AEW now has a brand new look and a brand new presentation, because we had that first Dynamite of the year and holy hell it looked good. And do not forget that this is really important. Us nerds are always going to watch, but if you're just flicking through the channels and you're a casual fan and you see something that looks superb, you're probably going to hang around. There is something bigger to all of this though, and that's because Tony Khan is about to unleash his secret weapon. And no, that's not a euphemism. I know what people do on YouTube. I mean, you kiss your mother with that mouth? Absolutely disgusting. Gone off piste. Why? Here's why. So I'm just going to throw a name out there, which is Michael Mansury. And if you do indeed follow the wrestling news cycle, you will have seen it a lot, because he was hired by All Elite Wrestling, and then people on both sides of the coin were like, oh, gee, that's a really good hire. His official title is Senior Vice President and Co-Executive Producer. And yes, just to discuss it before everybody goes crazy, a few years ago, he was employed by none other than the WWE. Hired in 2009, he was so good at his job that by 2016 he had been given the title of Vice President of Global Television. And once again, everybody around him was like, well, this is the guy, this is the guy. When other people are going to move on and we have to bring somebody up, we got to give it to Mike, because that guy just knows what he's doing. In this case, it was, of course, Kevin Dunn, but Mansury was all but ready to receive the keys of the castle and become the king. And then, as always is the way, it didn't happen. Because like all businesses, it's hard to tell the old guard just to go away, because they're likely making a lot of money and very happy in their job. So after Mansury had looked at the situation, he decided to move on. Now let's not pretend that's not a ballsy move, because I'm sure he was making a fine paycheck as well, but he wanted to be somewhere where he felt like he was making an impact, and before long he actually landed on the Pat McAfee show, and you can work out how that relationship died. The job offers kept coming, and eventually he was hired as the Senior Vice President, I think co-executive producer once again, for the promotion known as One, when all of a sudden more people were banging down on his door and probably just throwing dollar bills at him, which is when he arrived in AEW. So straight away your eyebrow should raise towards your hairline, because here is a dude that doesn't need to go looking for work. People actively seek him out and say, I really would like it if we could employ you. He could probably just sit around and make crazy demands. When I think about all that and just decide it is true, Michael Mansury is my hero. As soon as the deal had been signed, there was even whispers on the WWE side, as we've already mentioned, and they were like, oh man, well that's not good for us at all, because he's going to be great. And do not forget that it all came down to a position of power, because he had so much talent, those at the top were just a bit uncomfortable. Again, it happens in all walks of life, so they probably tried to squash him. He can no longer be squashed. Because he absolutely flew up that World Wrestling Entertainment ladder, and yes, of course, when it became knowledge that he was available maybe to have some chats, Triple H did give him a call and probably said, hey, do you want to come back? But Michael, I assume, would be like, well, no, not really, because that other guy's still there. I just want to sit in my pants. So basically, life is too short, my friends. You need to go out there and win now. So I think we can all see the asset that he is, and boy, howdy, has this all come together at the right time. I mean, both AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery were like, well, we probably do need to update the show, and this is the individual who's going to be running it. And from what little I've seen so far, he's doing a bang-up job. Yeah, I've already seen some evidence of this away from the visual, because not only are we getting more replays, commentators have started to talk about stories throughout the show to give them more gravitas, and when it comes to the narrative themselves, all of them feel like they have more time to breathe. I mean, that is so important in wrestling, because you have to allow the fan to sit there and go, well, holy shit, that was crazy, I can't believe that happened. If you just jump to the next thing, everybody goes, well, I mean, they didn't seem to care, so why should I? While everybody will go nuts as soon as I mention this, you do have to try and compete with WWE when it comes to production. Now, it's always going to be hard because they have incredible resources. But if you have a WWE fan who is happy to spread their wings, there has to be some kind of crossover, otherwise you ain't ever gonna reel them in. So you have to raise your game, and you have to make it look like you're one of the big boys too, because sadly, that's just how our seeing devices work. If we see anything that looks a bit budget, we're like, that's rubbish. You must be number 2, and I only want to watch number 1. And the best way to try and describe it is you always want to become bigger, so you have to think bigger, and then you have to introduce bigger. And I mean this for WWE as well. I want AEW to flourish, I want WWE to flourish, I want Impact, New Japan, whoever. If wrestling gets bigger and bigger, all of us win. I have had chats with plenty of people who say they don't watch Dynamite because they don't like the look of the show. Well, now you can go back, and if it's more to your favour and you enjoy everything else that's going on, well, we've got one new viewer. It's still going to be the same old AEW in the sense you've got the roster and you've got these great matches, but wrestling is far more than that. And quite clearly, Tony Khan and Michael Mansury totally understand. So I would absolutely be pumped for this because it's not some surprise wrestler and it's not a forbidden door entry. This is an investment into the core of the product, which they're hoping is going to make everything better because they invested in this. And I massively respect that. It's got me very excited for 2023. And as ridiculous as it sounds, we do always have to caveat it with, no, you don't have to like it either. Maybe you preferred how the old one looked, but that is just the risk that we do take. In fact, I had a conversation with someone the other day and said, well, it just looks like WWE now because they've got a massive screen. Maybe that's true. I didn't see it that way. I think the absolutely truly upsetting thing is that the good guy and the bad guy tunnel is gone. So, much like we did do on Ups and Downs, take your hands, clasp them together, and let's just give a few seconds of memoriam to the deceased entrance tunnels. And if once again you try to join in with me on that, much as you may have done the other day, what is wrong with you? You've got to stop falling for it. If nothing else though, it sounds like Michael Mansury absolutely understands how to take a product and makes it better, and now he is employed by AEW. So I am so damn excited to see what he is going to do. I'm a wrestling nerd. This is the stuff I watch for. Now please do leave a comment below and let me know, what do you think about all of this? Maybe the product and the presentation means absolutely nothing and you just want to see good wrestling matches. Maybe you liked it when it felt more like WCW. You got to do it in those boxes down there. Then please do like the video, share the video and subscribe. It's very important here on YouTube. Make sure you head over to whatculture.com where we have a bunch of wrestling articles, some of which may tickle your fancy. It's the same with the YouTube channel. There is a bunch of videos just begging to be watched, and we're on social media at WhatCulture WWE. And I'm at SimonMiller316. And no, when I set up my accounts, I would not have put 316 if I knew what the future held. My name is Simon What Culture. Thank you very much for watching me as always. And I tell you, from both aspects, WWE and AEW, I'm doing the pointing, I think 2023 is going to be a really interesting year. In fact, I think we may be in for some really good wrestling. That makes me feel all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Goodbye.